The clock struck 10 p.m. at Greenfield Convenience Store. Marcus Lee was finishing his late shift, humming along to the store's soft music, arranging cereal boxes on a shelf. The door creaked open, the bell above it jingling. Ethan Reynolds entered, his boots heavy against the tile floor. His eyes were bloodshot, his breath laced with whiskey. A cold smirk curled on his lips as he scanned the near-empty store. Marcus turned. "Good evening, sir. Can I help you with anything?" Ethan stepped closer, cracking his knuckles. "Yeah, you can leave. This ain't your place." Marcus furrowed his brows. "Excuse me?" Before he could react, Ethan's fist struck his jaw with brute force. Marcus stumbled back, crashing into the shelves, sending cans rolling across the floor. Ethan grabbed him by the collar, slamming him against the counter. "You people don't belong here." He spat, delivering another blow to Marcus's ribs. Marcus gasped for air, his hands gripping the counter for support. Blood dripped from his lip onto the floor. Ethan wasn't done. He grabbed a glass bottle from a nearby rack and lifted it over his head, ready to strike. Just then, the doorbell jingled again. A customer walked in, freezing at the sight. Ethan cursed under his breath and bolted, knocking over a stack of candy bars on his way out. The security cameras had caught everything. The police arrived within minutes, sirens piercing the night. Ethan was arrested at his home, a cocky grin still plastered on his face. The heavy oak doors of the courtroom swung open, revealing a packed room. Ethan Reynolds stood, handcuffed. A smug grin playing on his lips, he scanned the room. His gaze landing on Marcus, who sat at the prosecution's table with a stitched-up brow and a swollen lip. Judge Malcolm Carter entered, his presence commanding immediate silence. He adjusted his robe and took his seat, glancing at Ethan with a calm but firm expression. The jury had reached a verdict quickly. Ethan was guilty of aggravated assault and hate crimes. Now it was time for his sentencing. "Mr. Reynolds, you have been found guilty. Do you have anything to say before I issue your sentence?" Judge Carter's voice was deep and unwavering. Ethan chuckled, shaking his head. "Yeah, I do. I ain't taking orders from a black judge. Give me someone who ain't biased against white men." A collective gasp rippled through the courtroom. Prosecutor Linda Harris clenched her jaw, while defense attorney Robert Mills exhaled sharply, knowing his client had just sealed his fate. Bailiff Jackson shifted slightly, his eyes locked on Ethan, ready to act if necessary. Judge Carter didn't flinch. His eyes locked onto Ethan's with a level of calm that made the courtroom even quieter. "Mr. Reynolds, point. The color of my skin does not define my judgment. Your actions do. I suggest you should think before you speak." Ethan scoffed. "Pleasey. 50 years ago, you wouldn't even be allowed in this courtroom, let alone judging me. You should be thanking people like me for where you are." A hush fell over the room. Some spectators shifted in discomfort. Others sat rigid, anger simmering beneath their expressions. Judge Carter leaned forward slightly. "Mr. Reynolds, point. You may see yourself as powerful. But let me remind you of something. You're standing here in handcuffs, in front of a court that has determined your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. The only power you have left is how you choose to react to the consequences of your actions." For the first time, Ethan's smirk faltered. Judge Carter's voice remained steady. Zrение, его слова умышленные. I sentence you to 20 years in federal prison. Additionally, you will undergo mandatory rehabilitation where you will sit face-to-face with victims of hate crimes. People whose lives have been shattered by men like you. You will listen. You will learn. And perhaps in time, you will understand the weight of your hatred. Ethan's face turned red with fury. You can't make me do that. I ain't listening to their whining. Judge Carter met his glare with unwavering resolve. You don't have a choice, Mr. Reynolds. Point. Justice is not about what you want. It's about what is right. Court is adjourned. The gavel struck with finality. The room buzzed with murmurs, the weight of the ruling sinking in. As the courtroom emptied, defense attorney Robert Mills approached Judge Carter. That was quite a sentence, Your Honor. You think he'll change? Judge Carter gathered his files, offering a small smile. Maybe not, but justice isn't just about punishment. It's about giving people a chance to be better. Whether he takes it or not, that's on him. With that, he exited the courtroom, leaving behind a lesson in justice that no one in the room would soon forget.